For many critics of the old-style regulatory commissions, their regulatory activities were doomed to failure from the outset. This type of regulation never served the interests of the general public, they argued, because it was never intended to do so. By the 1960s, it was apparent to many that railroad rates, oil and gas prices, and airline fares, to name just a few examples, were kept artificially high by economic regulation. However, it would be unfair to conclude that all regulation in the pre-1960 period was a total failure. Additionally, where failure was apparent, it is probably unrealistic to assert that capture was secretly designed by those who set up the commissions. A more objective analysis of the history of regulatory commissions reveals that there were a number of unanticipated problems associated with economic regulation. First of all, in the enabling legislation which established these commissions, Congress would delegate rulemaking authority to a commission without ever clearly spelling out what the agency's mission was. In other words, there was administrative confusion as to the precise job of the agency. They had power to regulate, but to what end? Second, because these commissions were not authorized to hire their own research staffs, they were unable to gather their own information about the effects of the regulations they were enforcing or the need for new regulations. Consequently, the commissions became dependent on the industry groups for this information, which were more than happy to provide such data. In other words, there was a certain amount of administrative convenience for the commissions, at any rate, which ensued from developing close ties with the regulated industries. Furthermore, who knows better than the regulated industry the costs and technical difficulties associated with regulation? Third, the so-called revolving door meant that decision makers at the commissions had a personal stake in maintaining an amicable relationship with the regulated industries. Often, top administrators at the commissions sought positions of employment with industry, or former industry officials served on the commissions. For these and other reasons, then, criticisms of economic regulation reached a crescendo by the 1960s. Capture theories of regulation were commonly argued by public interest reformers. Many political and policy scientists began to advance life cycle theories of regulatory agencies. These basically argued that any agency proceeded through three stages of development. First, youth, where the agency is marked by a sense of vigorous mission or purpose. Second, adulthood, where the agency is essentially co-opted by the regulated industry or is more concerned with accommodation than confrontation. And three, old age, where the relationship between regulator and regulated can be characterized as full capture.